What if Alexander the Great didn't die young? Is a question many historians ask themselves. Today we will look at one way the world would look like if he didn't die. His story begins with his father, Philip II, the man that laid the foundations for Alexander later on. He created amazing military reforms, such as improved siege machinery, the creation of pike infantry, and the creation of a professional army, moving away from the levy system that Macedonia previously used. He subjugated most of Greece under the League of Corinth, and constantly fought against the Thracians and northern tribes to secure the power of his kingdom. Once all the enemies were dealt with, only one threat remained: the Empire of Persia. But before Philip II could organize an invasion on Persia, tragedy struck. He was assassinated by the captain of his bodyguard. Alexander accused the Persian king of arranging the plot on his father's life, giving him even more reasons to attack the Persian Empire. But many speculate that it was actually Alexander who planned to assassinate his father, as a way to become king and rule. Others say that it was Alexander's mother who planned the assassination because she wanted him to succeed to the throne faster, and there is another theory that speculates that the head of the bodyguard was a secret lover of King Philip, and was enraged when he took another wife, so that he decided to kill him as a form of revenge. Nevertheless, Philip died, leaving the kingdom to his son Alexander. He began the reign by finishing his father's business, that is, subduing the Greeks and Thracians. After that was done with, he finally decided to attack Persia. What followed suit was something the entire ancient world hadn't expected. A Macedonian general defeating the biggest army in the world, outnumbered battle after battle after battle. And at lightning speed at that, Alexander's troops were moving at incredible speed. And in just 10 years, he went from the king of Macedonia to the ruler of the largest empire of his time. Following the war against the Persians, Alexander set his sights on India. But after a hard-won battle against an Indian ruler named Porus, Alexander's army decided that they weren't too keen on fighting more Indian rulers, and exhausted by the constant fighting and marching for a decade, they mutinied. Alexander was forced to return to Babylon, where he most likely died because of malaria. But let's say that he survived malaria. What would Alexander do now? Arrian, a Greek historian, says that Alexander would have most likely invaded Arabia because the fertility of the land was a secret inducement to him to invade it. He had heard that the people obtained cassia from the lakes and myrrh and frankincense from the trees, that cinnamon was cut from the shrubs, and that the meadows produced spikenard without any cultivation. So, after gathering a new army, he would most likely set out to conquer Arabia and arrive somewhere near Sinai, where he would stay a couple months to draft the necessary plans and scout ahead, as well as prepare his newly formed army in the Macedonian way of fighting. At the same time, he would probably dispatch some of his generals to defend the borders of his empire while on this Arabian campaign. And then he would start the invasion. Just as quickly as he invaded the Persians, he would decisively crush any resistance his army would meet. And although some may try to resist his rule, all of Arabia would be conquered with the exception of the Arabian desert, and some tributary states Alexander would create in the peninsula. After the successful invasion of Arabia, Alexander would most likely return to Babylon, where he would go over his next great project. the hybridization of Greek and Persian culture, and uniting the two peoples into one, thus stabilizing his region for future generations. At the same time, he would most likely try to create a common religion, seeing as most religions that were present in Alexander's empire are descended from the Indo-European one. It wouldn't be out of the question for Alexander or one of his advisors to notice that all of them are extremely similar and try to mend the schism. They would inadvertently turn back the clock on religion and recreate the Indo-European one by putting all the puzzle pieces together. For the sake of the video, we could call this religion Alexandrism. Alexander would probably establish himself as a god in this new religion, to give himself even more legitimacy in the eyes of the people. This changes won't happen instantly, and will probably a project that Alexander will work on all his life, from crafting a Greco-Persian identity to convincing enough people to convert to his religion. This will be a slow process that will continue even after Alexander is long gone. With his ally Porus in India and Arabia conquered, his next target will be the Black Sea, an important trade hub for the Macedonians and Greeks alike. Conquering the coast and establishing a safe space for merchants would be very beneficial for the prosperity and safety of the empire, something akin to the Roman Mare Nostrum, a Greek thalassamas. Of course, Alexander would once again successfully invade his foes. Starting from his domain in Armenia, he would advance upward to the Caucasus Mountains and then attack the Scythians in current-day Ukraine. Before going south again to connect the rest of his empire. Now, once again in Europe, after a quick visit in Pella, his former capital, he would once again decide to extend his empire. This time against the Illyrians and Thracians, the foes that tried to destroy his father's kingdom numerous times. After another successful invasion, is it quite possible that Alexander would have been exhausted by the constant conquering and would resort to governing and managing his vast empire for the rest of his life? With Alexander dying of old age, his last words regarding on who should inherit his empire would probably be once again, to the strongest, but this time with a twist, as by this time he would probably have two sons, Aegus, who was born to Roxana, and another maybe named Philip, to one of Darius's daughters. The military would hold incredible power, and a majority of his generals would side with Aegus as he was the oldest son, as so the strongest. Thus the empire would be divided in two, with the bigger portion going to Aegus, and the smaller Persian side would go to Philip, as he was part Persian after all. Whether these empires will stand the test of time, or end up like Alexander's in our timeline, is a question for another time. But what is certain is that Alexander's mark on the world would be even more pronounced, from the creation of the Greco-Persians to the Alexandrite faith. His character would be shrouded in mystery and legend, and most people will certainly believe that he was really a godlike being.